Greetings. My name, Masachaba Baloyi. I'm the CEO and founder of IndiePath Human Capital. We are your guide to building and sustaining a high-performance culture. Welcome to the Moments of Impact. Just how significant is the mining industry? According to Statista, in 2021, the mining industry in South Africa employed 458,954 people. In that same year, it contributed an added value of about 219 billion rand to the country's GDP. To Ms. Nolita Fakute, it is the shared values of people, community, and economic development that attracted her. The thought of contributing meaningfully at a large scale is what made the mining industry appeal to her.
Masachaba, thank you for that introduction. But just as where you were pausing around zero fatalities, it is one of the biggest sources of sadness for us in the mining industry to know that we have to every day commit ourselves to zero harm when it comes to people's lives. Because it's never acceptable, and it's not acceptable that people should lose their lives whilst going to work. So January for us was a very important milestone because for a full month we didn't have any fatalities. And it's because the CEOs of the mining industry have been over the past 18 months and over the years as well, but particularly in the last 18 months, religiously working through visible leadership to say we should reduce towards zero harm any fatality in the mining industry.
I wish to applaud the Mineral Council of South Africa, an entity that Ms. Nolita is the president. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the work that you've done. It is such an honor to have you here. How are you?
Thank you so much for this invitation. I know I should have been here much earlier on, but I always say everything happens at the right time. So thank you for the invitation. And I am feeling well and good.
How is Pila?
Well, that's the question everyone keeps asking me. And halfway through, I forget that people know about my son from somewhere. But he's the apple of my eye, as you can imagine, a young man now who is in his 30s. So he is well, he is great, and I'm grateful that he's turned out to be the kind person that he is and a good person.
Well, we thank you, Pila, for sharing Mum with us. Truly, she is gracious. To those that don't know who's Ms. Nolita Fakute, she is the president of the Anglo-American Management Board of South Africa. She's the author of Boardroom Dancing. Throughout the book, there are clear objectives that you aspire to attain. You come across as intentional and very deliberate. You set specified targets and even highlight some of the challenges you've encountered. You go as far as sharing the impacted value, making a good case in point for diversity and inclusion being economically viable in the workplace. How has that journey been for you thus far?
Well, Masachaba, the intentional part, I believe, came later on in my life because I started working, as you've noted from the book, in 1990. And so at a particular point in time when I wrote the book in 2017, 2018, for me, I was at a point in my life where I thought that it was actually the right time from a career reflection perspective to talk about the journey over the 3 decades and reflect on those lessons. So some of the stuff, that's why it comes through and across as intentional, because I wanted to be sure that my nephews, my nieces, my friends, children and grandchildren and everyone, really my sisters and brothers, can get a sense of how all of us from my generation navigated our careers over that period.
To anyone who has not read the book, how I'd describe Miss Nolita, she's tenacious, brave, and pretty strategic in her approach. Let me give you a glimpse into this phenomenal woman. In 2003, she was elected national president of the Black Management Forum. As the first woman to ever occupy this role, she was asked how she intended filling a particular pair of shoes. Her rejoinder, and I quote, "I had made it clear that I did not intend to wear men's shoes. Rather, woman that I am, I was bringing 5 pairs of shoes into my presidency. They included high heels, so I stand tall and look my male peers straight in the eyes, sneakers, so I could be agile, running and skipping as necessary to navigate this leadership role, sandals with flowers, so I don't take myself too seriously, boots with spikes to kick butt, and at times I would walk barefoot to stay humble and keep in touch with my Mother Nature and my ancestors." What an analogy.
Well, that was inspired, of course, by my ancestors and my spirituality and by everyone around me. Because at the time in 2003, the organization having elected me to be the national president of the BMF was making a statement around gender equality. But also at a personal level, I had not really processed fully what that meant. So when people started asking the question, oh my goodness, how are you going to perform this role, the big shoes to fill in the Royal Khosas of this world, the Lord Ndlovus, Eric Mafunas, I started realizing, maybe I should not have even agreed to do this. What was I thinking? Because indeed, these were my role models, my icons. And here I was saying, I'm happy to be the president of the organization. However, realizing that I had worked my way throughout the organization from being an ordinary member to being a branch chairperson, to being a regional, provincial chairperson, and then national board member, that I knew the organization just as better like anybody else around the table. So for me, it was realizing that I could come in and do the job differently because everybody is different.
What is true to that is you've championed cultural change in the corporate world for over 2 decades now. You've challenged outdated ways of being. I think for me, boardroom dancing is the strategic art of give and take, pull and push, pivot and elegantly step aside for the collective of the greater good of others. In the book, you waltz. Sometimes you samba. At times, it's a jive. But the intentions are clear, the goals are set, and the objectives are measurable. The deliverables are just as measurable. What do you consider to be the makings of a good leader?
Maschaba, one of those key makings is to be able to listen. And not only listen with your ears, but with your heart and with your eyes. More often than not, it's the stuff that is not said. It's the stuff that is not necessarily visible that makes the culture to be what it is. So you come and you say the smell and feel of the place. There's something that's not resonating or connecting. That's a culture. You see how people walk. Do they walk confidently, or do they walk around like they've been beaten up or tired or disappointed? You pick up the energy of the place. And so for me, the issue and the focus around culture over the years has been to say that organizations have got to fix the culture of the place such that it is open enough and enabling enough for people to walk in, regardless of who they are and where they come from and what skin tone they have and gender and everything else that defines them, without having to change themselves because of the culture. So the culture must enable you rather than you having to assimilate into that culture and have to change yourself to belong in that space.
Oh, wow. You've spent months with Mama Winnie Mandela. You have gleaned wisdom from diverse leaders that spans intergenerational times of passage. What attributes do you think one needs to develop just to survive the as-is?
Being able to know that you are not an island as an individual, it's important. We live amongst other human beings. And therefore, it's important that you connect to people and connect to others and with others. And leaders like Mama Winnie Mandela did that very well. They recognized people and acknowledged individuals. So acknowledging individuals in a corporate space is acknowledging that someone has got unique value to contribute in the conversation. So once again, you are having a conversation in a boardroom and there's that person who's quiet, who never really says much. But you know that when they speak, they say something meaningful. Your role is to pull those people into the conversation. Your role as a leader is to make sure that you want to hear their voice. And if they are not represented, you seek out different voices to enrich the conversation.
Oh, wow. You seek out different voices to enrich the conversation. So it's never a single story.
It can't be, because otherwise what's the use of bringing in 10 people who all think the same, who all look the same, who all wear the same stuff and go to the same places? You've got no diversity. You've got nothing that is different that's going to be opening up your mind to different ways of solving the problem. Remember, one of the biggest challenges as leaders we have, whether it's business, politics, or civil society, it's around problem solving. How do we solve problems meaningfully in a way that makes a difference in life for everyone? And then if you have the magic, then you make the money.
Yeah.
Because it's about problem solving.
Right.
So if you have people who are giving you different ideas, perspectives, intergenerational perspectives, regional perspectives that you may not have even thought about, then it helps you think about the possibilities.
Part of it is making decisions. How long does it take for you to decide? Can you explore your decision-making process with us?
Well, decision-making processes are very long, and sometimes it can be short, depending on the situation. But for me, on areas where I know and have been thinking about in terms of the decisions that we need to make, the first point for me is to always give yourself enough context and background. I always use the Stephen Covey habit: seek first to understand, to be understood. So I have to understand what is at play, what actually is happening around here, so that based on the context, I can be able to ask the right questions for better clarity and also for better decision making. You need data points, different data points that then help you to say, based on A, B, C, and D, if those are the assumptions I'm making, then the answer should be G. So the ability to connect the dots is also important, because if you do not connect the dots in your decision-making process, you may miss out just one step that is so crucial to the whole outcome, that you wonder, why is this not working? And then you realize that actually I didn't ask the person who makes the coffee why the coffee machine at this time of the day gives us a wrong taste. You know?
Yeah.
So you need to include everyone in your decision making.
I love that point that you make about data, because digital and remote mining is a reality now. Sustainability is a critical performance indicator. What skills are currently in demand within your area of expertise?
Well, besides the technical skills that everyone has, with technology and innovation, we find that now the skills and competencies that are required, it's the ability to be agile. And the agility is to be able to say, if we're going to be using robotics in mining, even as a basic skill, what is it that you're looking at? Hand-eye coordination, just as a basic example, because you're using a remote. So no wonder the young people who are playing games are able to navigate this process much better, because you are directing a robotic rather than looking at a physical way of mining. That's one of the ability to be agile. But at a fundamental level, it's also the ability to influence others and get buy-in from the others, because now you're working as a team. Remember, you are not delivering the results by yourself. Even though we've got innovation and technology, we are a team. You want to know that each person is clear about their roles. So individuals and the skills that are required, it's the ability to work better in teams and work better with others to get the best out of them.
What I admire most about you is your ability to take stock. You mentioned earlier, it's always important to ask for feedback. In what circumstances would you be prepared to alienate a team that you're leading?
Never.
Ever?
Alienate someone who's in my team? That's not leadership. If someone in the team is not living up to the agreed to values and agreed to goals, you pull them aside. You have a conversation. And where you believe that there is a need to course correct, you continue to give feedback. And as leaders, one of the areas where we all struggle and we have to work on very hard is what I refer to as courageous conversations, because it means you have to sit down with the person and to say, Master, we're still not getting to where we should be.
Yeah.
And what is it that you need more of? What is it that I should be supporting you with? Because we are not getting to where we had agreed we will go to. So those are courageous conversations, because those are tough conversations. And only when someone is really just being obstinate, I think, if I use that word loosely, you would say then it means we can't work together. But not alienate. Because alienating anyone who is part of your team is sending a message to the rest of the team around how you treat each other. Remember, in a team, when you work together, when someone leaves, regardless of why they leave, whether it's voluntary or involuntary, the people who are behind watch how you are treating that person. Because then they'll say, oh, if this is how people are dealt with in this organization, then next time it may be me and this may happen to me. So you have to make sure that regardless of how difficult the situation is, you treat people with dignity, with respect, and also make sure that they understand what it is that went wrong. So the reflection is part of that. You don't get it right all the time because sometimes you are very quick on, I need to get this thing out of my table. So maybe you go through a shortcut, but long term, it doesn't work. You have to go through the process, have the courageous conversation, have the conversation that also enables the other person to say, actually,
Is this it?
I agree also that I shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I've probably had more conversations with people where I say to them, you know what, this may just not be the right company for you. You are a brilliant person, and indeed they are brilliant because they've got the degrees and qualifications. And you are a good person. It's not about you at a personal level, but it may just be that you're in the wrong company or right company at the wrong time, or you're with the wrong team. So make a break and make it in such a way that you still maintain who you are without losing your own self of sense and confidence.
Every time I turned a page, I had an aha moment. I had okay, I'm going to try this. Do you recall a moment in your career that most impacted you?
Oh, many, but I think that the one that stands out for me till today is the one around reflecting and sleeping over something. And I talk about it in the book, my relationship with Ian Starrock, who was my mentor, was my coach, and who was a friend and a leader in different ways, and was my line manager. And where in this particular instance, I discovered that there was a promotion that should have gone through but didn't go through because he said he wanted me first to complete a particular program and project I was working on. And when I found out about this, I was very upset and I felt betrayed. I was disappointed. How could Ian do this to me? And fortunately, at the time, he was traveling overseas. Those days, you didn't have cell phones or even emails, so I couldn't communicate with him. But I went to HR and I really laid it out how disappointed I was about the situation. And the HR director said to me, you know, you've got one of the best champions in the company, that is Ian, and you two have got a good relationship together. Don't you want to think about it, and then more importantly, wait for him and ask him when he comes why this happened? And okay, when I did, obviously he told me the reasons why, and I had to make a very difficult choice around, do I want to take this forward because really I was wronged, or do I just live with it and say, okay, he wanted me to finish the project, even though I had qualified for the promotion, but I decided to leave it. And for me, the lesson there continues to be, you know, you need to sleep over making decisions. And with the generation that we have today, I call it the WhatsApp generation or Twitter, email, you know, sometimes just draft the message and don't press the send button.
Ooh, we must hold our horses.
Hold your if you sleep over it and in the morning you still wake up feeling very sure that your mind is just so clear that this actually is the right way to go about it, I promise you, you can press the send button, because remember, you've got to choose your battles. You can't fight battles every day. Otherwise, you'll never win the war.
You'll be tired.
you've got to choose your battles. So you say, in the bigger scheme of things, how big is this? How fundamental is this? How important is this to me? What is it violating about me? Is it my own dignity? Is it my own rights? Is it my own value system? So you've got to decide, is this worth going out on a limb for? Because for me, I choose my battles, and when I choose it, then I need to see it through. So you choose to go one direction or the other based on the circumstances and the conditions you are operating in. It's about making decisions and choices and living with the consequences. So if you are going to live with the consequences, then you must reflect.
Diabulela, Pilar, for sharing your mom with us. She is gracious, elegant, generous, and oh, so full of love. How do you unwind?
Well, I love being at home with family and friends entertaining. That is the irony.
You cook?
I love cooking. That is my therapy. I love cooking. I love fussing around people who are close to me that I love, because it gives me a sense of grounding. Remember, we are from the village, and you invite people, you want to entertain, you want everyone to be together and feel to be part of a community. And therefore, for me, being with the people that are close to me and that I can really do something that lets me hang, I like doing that.
All-rounder, she's perfect. No. Totally perfect. This is it. What are you currently reading?
I'm one of those people who reads too many things at the same time. So I've got 2 books that I'm alternating through. One is called What We Owe Each Other, Perhaps a New Contract, Social Contract. It's by Professor Shihad. It was on my Christmas list of books to read, and it's amazing. What we owe each other. Then the other one, it's a autobiography, because I love reading about people's lives. The one that is written by Lincoln Mali.
Oh, yes.
Blazing a Trail. It's just an amazing story to read and again follow through his career, because it's someone whose career I have also watched over the years. He also comes from the Eastern Cape. He writes a lot around his own family and where they come from. So again, it's something that I'm finding very inspiring. And in between, then I pick up also all sorts of other stuff that lies around. My room is full of books, which is not good.
Well, I would certainly recommend Boardroom Dancing to anyone. It's such an easy read. Thank you for penning it. Now that we have trotted like foxes, using your dance moves as the how, first, I'd like to thank you for being the leading light, for liberating professionals and demonstrating that they too can be remarkable. But most importantly, for breaking that glass ceiling and dancing it through all. Thank you so much, Sis Nolita. My name, Masachaba Baloyi. I'm the CEO and founder of Indepart Human Capital. We are your guide to building and sustaining a high-performance culture.